Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode number 29 of the Sim Racing in Focus podcast. We are a podcast that talks about sim racing, as the name suggests, but in particular, the Australian iRacing scene. I'm your host, Dean Reddit, and with me, as always, is co-host Jacob Packets-Hughes. Packets, mate, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
Mate, not too bad. It's raining outside. It was 40 odd degrees yesterday playing cricket, so might have got a touch dehydrated, but today's good. Feeling much better.
Yeah, it was weird. Weird yesterday and how hot it was in the Arvo, and then to wake up this morning and actually open up the doors and windows was a bit odd. But yeah, no, it's definitely a change. But yeah, we've got the rain coming through now, on and off, which is good. I think it's here to stay for the next week or so. But yeah, good, like it.
Yeah, we're going to have some indoor time, I think, this week with, lots of weather on the way. So, it was a hot one, so much needed and nice change of pace. Mate, we're also joined again tonight. We got another guest tonight. He is the manager of Evolution Racing Team. He's probably a long-time sim racing or iRacing stalwart here in Australia. I'm sure most people probably know who he is. He's also heavily involved with the Aussie Sim Racing Group, the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. And of course, I'm talking about Brenton O'Brien.
Good,
Brenton,
Dean,
how are you doing,
Packets.
mate?
How are we both going, mate? Yeah, obviously, what you've got going up there weather-wise is not at all the same what we got down here near sunny Melbourne. I'm on Phillip Island. It was 43 degrees, and within 15 minutes it was hailing. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I'd rather. Just quietly, a bit of consistency would be nice.
Yeah. Mate, yeah, I know it's a brutal time to be down in Melbourne or Victoria at the moment with those bushfires. So, but I think Phillip Island's a little bit away from them, are they?
We're nowhere
Is
near
it?
any
Sorry.
bushfires. My older son's actually working up there in them at the moment. Actually, well, it has been for the last few days. So I get quite good regular updates. And no, the biggest problem that Melbourne's got is wrong people have machetes. So that's about the biggest problem Melbourne's got.
Oh,
Bang.
That's a problem. Oh yeah, it's been what an interesting time of year it's been for all that stuff. But yeah, I'm glad you're away from the bushfires. We certainly got some people down there that have been affected. I seen actually just a quick shout out. Seen Synergy Sim Racing posted that Glenn Postlethwaite's lost his house in the fires, which is pretty tragic.
Yes, I think he's.
So there's a GoFundMe page up there.
Raised about $5,000. I think they're at about 3.5. Possie's a good guy. Does some real racing as well in the Australian saloons. I think it's with Tin Cops. I think he's up at Euroa, which is just off the Hume Highway, south of Winton Raceway. And he's quite a regular at Winton. So, yeah, I think he had a little bit of property out there, but certainly feeling for the guy. Let's face it, it's not something anyone would have a nightmare about going through until it actually happens. And the fire just moves through so quick. There's just literally one moment you're looking at blue sky, the next moment you're looking at red ground. So, yeah, feel for the guy. Hopefully he can get on his feet pretty quick. And thanks for all those that are supporting his cause.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a brother-in-law down there who's had to be evacuated. I don't think he's lost his house yet, or he hasn't, but hopefully he doesn't. But yeah, not a great way to start off 2026. No. So hopefully they can raise a bit of money for him there and get him off the ground. So head over to the Synergy Sim Racing Facebook page if you are interested in donating, and you'll find there that there's a GoFundMe link. So shout out to Posy, and hopefully he gets back on his feet quick. Mate, we've got a bit of ground to cover tonight. There's quite a bit. You've been around for quite a long time in sim racing, but as we like to do, we take it right back to the beginning and then try and go through everything in a nice chronological order. But mate, when did you first get involved in iRacing, and in particular I believe you formed Evolution Racing Team?
2011, I reckon it would have been 2011. I first got into iRacing. I used to do. I lived in the middle of nowhere in Queensland years and years ago, so there was no sport involved at all. So I got into the sim racing And actually, another thing I was doing was sailing online as well, like online sailing, because it's what I've done all the time.
Online sailing?
I did Formula One, and I also did sailing, like in 2 different sims. I started off in a yachting sim,
Yeah.
Virtual Skipper 5. Myself and John Van Ree, in fact, used to be on the same team in Reeksy used to be in the same team in this Virtual Skipper. But anyway, so that opened my eyes to online sport to a point. And so, went out and got, actually, I think it was my son's PlayStation 3? Don't know. Anyway, there was Formula One on that. And I actually went all right on that.
Yep.
And all I really wanted to do was get involved in a league. Like, it was all well and good to drive against computers and AI and whatnot. But I just wanted to be involved in a league. And met up with a guy called Alex Simpson, who, Pommy fella, runs Apex Racing. Does very well out of himself now from sim racing. But anyway, cutting a very long story short, there was a league from Apex Racing, which was on at about 4 o'clock on a Monday morning. So I used to start work at about 6 o'clock on a Monday morning. So I get up a little bit earlier, and on a Monday morning, cut some laps in Formula One. Like I said, did all right. And then I was doing that, and there was a guy, Mark Noble, Nobby, from KRF team. And he joined in as well and found out about it. He was in a different split to me. I was in the top split. I don't know, split 4 or 5. But it doesn't matter. But he goes, oh, no, you've got to get this iRacing, because it's got supercars. Well, back then it's got the Ford Falcon. And he goes, and Bathurst is going to be coming out soon. And that was 2011 or 2012. So I thought, have a bit of a go. So I did a 3-month trial. I had the old DFGT, the old Logitech wheel, which is nowhere near as good as the G29 or the G27. I was absolute poverty pack. But still had a bit of fun, and sure enough, in iRacing style, it went from Bathurst is coming out, and it took 3 years after I got iRacing for it to come out. But by then, the racing is so much better, the time zone's so much better, and I started off. I went all right in it, and I was with KRF with Nobby's team, and we were a good little team, and and then things evolved from there, shall we say. I think I spent 12 months with Nobby's team. And then I was going all right, and I actually had a few offers from a few other teams, and one of those teams was, at the time, it was called Demidov Motorsport. So Demidov used to be a small computer company, actually in Newcastle, believe it or not. They might still be there. Yeah. So,
oh, wow.
Very, very small time sponsor. I think in the end it was a guy called Nathan Britton. It was his team. And I think we were called Demidov Industries or whatever, because he used to get his computer fixed for free, and that was and so we had all the livery on the car because he had his PC fixed for free. Like, we got nothing out of it whatsoever, but that's okay. And there was a couple of us. There was Luke Betts and Tim Jackson, another guy from Newcastle, Tim Jackson, Jacko. He's up that way. He's only just got back into sim this week, in fact. So there was the 4 of us, and I was we went all right, Bathurst 12 hour and all that. We went pretty well. And then one day, like the 4 of them, out of the 4 of us, the 3 of them went off and went on Christmas holidays. And as a joke, they just said, oh, yeah, you can look after the team until we're back. And they're only gone for 2 or 3 weeks. But I thought, we'll have a go at this. And in those 2 or 3 weeks that they were gone, I'd organised paid sponsorship for the car. Updated all the paints to the car where they look really slick, and the sponsor was Maverick Welding, who used to be a really good sponsor of Jamie Whincup. So and Jamie was big with Red Bull back then.
Okay.
So, and they paid us to drive the car and put Maverick on the side of the car. So we've gone from someone getting sponsorship to fix up their PC to, hey, these guys are actually now getting paid. You're actually getting something for it. And that'll happen in a few weeks, and then. Because Jamie was running with Red Bull, I contacted Jamie directly because he used to come up to this Maverick welding mob. And I spoke to Jamie straight up, and I said, mate, we want to put Red Bull on the car. And he goes, oh, no, you can't do that. But all sorts of stuff, rah. I said, okay, well, we'll give it a go. So I actually, back in the day where it was just email, I actually got in contact with someone at Red Bull over in Austria, and I did a proposal to Red Bull about us running the Red Bull logo on a sim car. And so we were the very first team in the world that was given permission to officially run the Red Bull livery on the car. So that was pretty cool. And so from that all happened pretty quick. That all happened like about, by the time we did the Red Bull deal, probably about 2 months, I reckon, because Red Bull are everywhere now, obviously. So Nathan Britton come back. Wasn't overly impressed that Demidov wasn't as much on the car as it used to be because he wasn't getting his computer fixed all the time anymore. But Jacko and Betsy loved it. So they both just said, well, Brito, you can keep your Demidov team. That's what you want. And Jacko and Betsy said, well, why don't we start our own team? So, what the hell? So we came up with a new team, and God knows there was some absolutely horrific names that were tossed around as to what to call our team. And then finally, it was actually Tim Jackson that said, why don't we just call it Evolution? Actually, back then it was Evolution Racing Australia. That was the name that stuck, and so away we went. So that was, what are we in our 12th year now? I think we are 12th or 13th year now. So so that,
12th year.
That goes back. So anyway, but at the end of the day, it was just three of us that started it. And again, did all right. Scops was the big thing back then. We made the grid on Scops.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing we used to do, we used to love driving IndyCar. And we got Ian Ford into the team, who back then, Fordy was one of the best drivers in Australia in the V8. So we had success with him, and he went out and won an official championship. So back then it was Scops and officials were the two big things. And so we did well in that. And also we used to drive the IndyCar, and in particular the Indy 500, the special one that comes out once a year. And so we did. Like Jacko is very good at doing up cars, doing up setups, and so he did all the setups, and so did Fordy. Did all the setups for this IndyCar, and I was okay at it. Jacko's good at it. Fordy's just good behind the wheel at anything. But in the top split, which is so freaking hard to get into the Indy 500 on the officials, like thousands of people try and qualify for Indy 500. 3 of us actually qualified the top split, and that was because we were the first team again, and this has nothing to do with me, I was just a passenger. We were the first team again to actually introduce the 6th gear. It was almost like an overtaking gear. Like, so we would run in 5th unless we needed to pass someone and be in a draft, then bang, 6th. And we gained so much time out of that. And sure enough, we all qualified, and I came 7th overall in the top split. Jacko crashed early, sucked in Jacko. And Fordy came 10th. So all of a sudden there's this Evolution Racing team that's gone global, because all those races were broadcast on Race Spot back then. So there was 2 ERT cars, ERA cars back then, that no one had even heard of this team. So I was like, where the hell are these Australians coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really, I can't remember, 2013, I reckon that might have been. So we did really well, and then all of a sudden we've got interest from drivers all over the shop, because back then it was TTR, TTL were the main 2 teams that I can remember. And all of a sudden there was there was another team as well, I can't remember what they're called. Then all of a sudden drivers wanted to come to us, and then away we went. And we got Bo Cubis, and he won God knows how many officials, and then Ethan Grigolk joined us, and he won so many officials, and then we piled on the success, not just nationally, but internationally as well. We were a really strong team for a long, long while. Probably got carried away with the amount of drivers we had for a while, but it's good.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, so it's just erupted overnight through getting in the iRacing.
Yeah, it really did, because back then leagues weren't a thing. Apart from Scops, leagues weren't a big deal. It was all officials was big, and Scops was big, and to be honest, it wasn't really that hard to get into Scops back then. It was pretty much you just had to show up and you got yourself a race. But obviously very different now. And when we took on the international scene, that's when we changed the name from Evolution Racing Australia to Evolution Racing Team, because we had some really good guys, overseas guys, join our team. And we had incredible success. I mean, the Pro Formula One series one season we actually had 9 drivers. It was overkill. We were the first team, Australian-based team, to have Formula One. And then also there used to be a GT3 World Championship where we had 2 cars qualify for that. And again, like incredible success, especially at Monza where we cleaned up the podium against unbelievable competition. We're talking Red Lines and Coanders when they were incredibly strong in iRacing. That's all they did was iRacing, and we were beating them. So
Yep.
Yeah, it was late nights those times because by then I was still driving, but I wasn't a World Championship driver. I was a spotter, and I go pretty good on the strategies. And there was a lot of late nights, but geez, it was worth it. Loved it.
That's awesome. How do you think, Packers, you would go at a sailing simulator though?
Not quite as quick.
I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting that to come out.
Well, yeah, when you said that, I was with you. Like it was like you were questioning what you heard, and I'm like, did I actually hear that? Like, is that actually a thing?
Yeah. Virtual Skipper 5. I haven't done it in years and years now, but it was good because that's how I was brought up. Sailing and footy was my 2 things back in Adelaide, and where I was living in central North Queensland, no footy. It's all rugby league up there. I was nowhere near the ocean, nowhere near the water at all, and it was just something piss easy. You know what I mean? Like it just came naturally to me, and it didn't take up all day. Do a couple of races, and that was it.
Yeah, there's a simulator out there for everything these days, like mowing lawn. So goat simulators. Got everything.
Nathan Lyon inside in a goat simulator. Who would have thought?
Oh god, that was just really interesting to hear that come out. All right, so you've gone from Adelaide to Brisbane to
there's a skip
down in
there.
Melbourne.
Yeah. So
anywhere else?
Born and bred in Adelaide. Still a proud member of the Port Adelaide Footy Club. Born and bred in Adelaide. Left there when I was 21, and then moved over and lived in Japan for 2.5 years. And so I spoke fluent Japanese. And I was on my way back to Adelaide, and I was in the transit lounge at the Cairns airport, and I looked in a bit scabby. Someone left a copy of the Courier Mail next to where I was sitting, so I read that, and page 3 there was an advertisement going, do you want to join the Queensland Police? I'm like, all right, might try and give that a go. And so like I said, I spoke fluent Japanese, and back then, like Queensland was the Mecca. Gold Coast was big, and up in Cairns was big, and Adelaide's just a big country town type thing. And I had the travel bug still, even after 2.5 years. I had the travel bug, and I thought, I'll apply for the Queensland Police. And then another job came up as a air steward for Ansett, because Ansett were just starting the Japan flight to Nagoya from Sydney Nagoya direct. So I thought I'll put in for that as well. And I remember on the same day I got told that I had a job interview. Let's just make up a day. In Brisbane was for the police was on the Monday, and for Ansett when it was in Sydney was on the Wednesday. So I remember driving the old Telstra TX5 up from Adelaide up to Brisbane, did my interview, did the physical. Pretty confident I had that job. Then quickly drove down 2 blown tyres later down to Sydney and did the Ansett interview as well. I'm pretty confident I got that job. Went back to Adelaide, then went over on holidays in Perth, and I remember getting a phone call when I was on Rottnest Island, actually on a boat just off Rottnest Island, saying, well done. If you want the police, you're in. And literally probably about 3 or 4 hours later, Ansett left a message at my house back in Adelaide saying, congratulations. If you want the job at Ansett, it's all yours. So I had a choice to make, and I'm sure I made the right choice. I took the job at the police. So I was up in Queensland for 25 years in the Queensland Police Service, and Ansett went bust like 5 years after I joined the police or something. So that worked out real well.
Yeah, that's worked out well. That's worked out perfectly. Oh,
expect
God.
that either, did you?
All right, well, there's some places we could go with that, but I don't know if we should. But it's lucky you're not a police officer in Victoria.
My oldest son is. My oldest son is at the moment. Yeah, has been for about 2.5 years.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year for the Victorian police. That's for sure. Well, let's get back. We'll go back to evolution. So fundamentally, though, I'm picking up that the team grew just obviously through just results on track pretty quickly, and it seems like some of the names that we know nowadays, like Ethan Grigalt and certainly 40 as well. Like sounds like they've been long-term drivers for the team, not just in the last couple of years.
Certainly been very loyal to ERT throughout. 40 just had his last race, actually, his last round of the Pro Series. He hung up his boots because he's going to be moving down to Tasmania shortly. So, he's been doing it solid and family and things like that. So, obviously, that's a big commitment. So, he'll be sitting on the sidelines for, look, I think he'll want to come back for the Enduros, but we're a significantly smaller team now, so we might not have that spot available for 40. But, yeah, we've certainly had some drivers come and go, but there's certainly been a huge amount of loyalty. Ryan O'Sullivan and Marcelo Rivera and Benny Smith. I'm probably just tossing names of Rainer Costello. They've been with us for a long, long time now. A long, long time. They were our pro drivers. And then from ERT, Altus Simsports. I don't know if you remember Altus at all. Yeah, well, that was a cut-off from ERT with Simon Feigl and Bo Albert, Tim Ryan. They were all originally with ERT, and Simon developed his own team. So ERT essentially was split in two way back when, and they did extremely well. They brought an incredible level of professionalism to sim racing in Australia, and they got quite a bit of positive and negative feedback because of the professionalism that they put in, and they really raised the bar with marketing and things like that. So Simon doesn't do sim racing, and Altus is closed up probably 2-3 years now. But from ERT's stretching out, there's been Jordan Russo was in ERT. ERT was his first team. Anton De Pasquale, first team. Jared Filsell, Jordan Ross, they were all in ERT, especially 2019 was a huge year for us. So, we've had some really, really good drivers come and go in that time for sure.
Yeah. That was interesting. I forgot that Altus was sort of split out there from Evolution Racing Team. And I certainly, we talked briefly with Simon right before he sort of decided to call it quits about jumping on and doing an episode. And it would have been good to have him on because they were really trying to drive the professionalism and even went as far as the unfortunately the COVID year really ruined it. But they were going to try and put up a house and drivers in a house to.
Well, they did do that. They did do that. So Simon bought a house in Cranbourne in Victoria because I've been to the house. Nice house. And a lot of that was VRS money. Well, actually, I don't know how much, but some of it was with VRS money. And Jordan Caruso and Bo Albert certainly stayed with Simon. Certainly, Bo Albert stayed with Simon for a long while. Out in, I think he lives in Ballarat now. And Jordan moved back to Turin. Something like that. And now he's living over in Germany. After his success with PES. So, so Jordan, all of those guys started off in ERT and then have stretched out and gone their own way, but with their own success.
I think from memory, I'm pretty sure we spoke about this the other week with Dane. I think he said Jordan's actually back in Australia.
Is that right?
Full time now. Okay. He's chosen it. Yeah. And I think it's only a recent. He's actually come back here full time.
Send out a message and see how he's going and see if he wants to go to the Pro Series. Yeah, it'd be a worthy addition. Absolutely. Very, very shortly.
Yeah. It was interesting. We're talking to Dane and stuff about what their views are on Australian sim racing in the leagues here. And well, I guess they've got such a big international itinerary, but whether there's a possibility that they'd look at coming back and doing some of our domestic leagues. He didn't he didn't slam the door shut on it for it by any means. But yeah, who knows? Especially with Jordan back in the Australian time zones, and we know how much he likes to race.
He'd have a few. I'll ask if he's even still with Coanda, because if he's not, well, this very telephone is going to be sending a message very, very shortly.
No,
absolutely.
He's still with Coanda, but yeah, full time living in Australia again.
Well, he certainly would have built up his coin while he was over there, and I believe he was actually one of the very first to test the Porsche 992. I'm very sure of that, because, like I said, he's a very capable driver. Might even hold a lap record at Phillip Island in that Audi that he drives in the Australian sports sedans. Yeah, he's a good steerer. He is a very good steerer.
That's interesting, because he's obviously the last name Caruso is around
no relation
a lot. So it's no relation. Yeah. That's interesting. But you see the name pop up, and I thought that I had seen Jordan's name pop up in some of those series, but I wasn't sure if it was the same Jordan or not. But there you go, it's confirmed. So that's awesome. But yeah, so that was an interesting chat with him. I think Jordan got as far as being in their Porsche.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
outfit.
He did.
So Coanda's Porsche outfit.
Yeah,
with Dane and Josh. So, crazy to think that there's three Aussies popping up essentially, I don't know if you call it the factory team or the whatever, but yeah, you got three Aussies there in the Porsche out of 5 drivers or something.
Again, a former ERT driver. He was with us for quite a while. Good guy. Did a lot of work with Winton when I was working there. But I don't know whether he's moved overseas. I haven't had a chat with him for a while. But Cooper Webster, he lived just north.
So,
did very well over in Formula 4. He won some Indian series, and no offense to Cooper, big deal. But he also tried his heart out in British UK in Formula 4, I think. And then there was another one that was with RT as well. It's going to shake my brain a bit, because I should know, because he actually raced Formula 2. Call him Sushi, but I can't remember his real name off the top of my head right now. Yeah. Yeah. Shit, that's going to bug me. It'll come to me.
Yeah, Cooper's back with you guys as well. I actually think I remember that, actually, now that you mention it, Cooper Webster. I think I remember watching him win Scops.
Yeah, that would be right.
Sandown.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell to you? Yeah, that was his first Scops win or something like that.
He was the young hotshot back then. These days it's Rehan Leonage, but back then it was Cooper Webster. And Rehan goes all right, but he wouldn't hold a candle to Cooper, what Cooper was doing back in the day. Cooper was very good.
Yeah. There you go. I do remember that. It seems like just about everyone's touched Evolution Racing Team at some point that's gone on to big things.
It's crazy to think people are just thinking that Rehan's the new hot thing now. I remember watching Rehan on broadcast when he probably couldn't even touch the pedals.
Absolutely.
He was killing it.
Well, so what's that, about 3 years ago when everyone was going, he's 12. So what's he now, like 15 or even 16 now? He's probably not even the youngest.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first time I saw him in a broadcast was nearly 5 years ago. So,
they grow up so quick, don't they?
Yeah, he was mega young when he started. Yeah. I remember him killing it in Split 1 and RSRA 5 years ago.
But the thing was Rehan, and he's a very good peddler, and he's with Phoenix Racing Team, but he does a lot of work with TTR for the Enduro, so he's with Madison, and there is no better teacher in sim racing than Madison Down. And so Rehan has gone to the exact right place. I think he's been doing that. I reckon he'd be in his 3rd year already with TTR for the Enduros. So, so he would have learned a lot there, and he certainly would be. He'd be at the stage he's passing on information, but he does a lot of other stuff as well. Like he does some martial arts. He's black belt in that, and he does a lot of other stuff as well, which takes time away from him sim racing now. But he still does cut some laps at times. And also his schooling is obviously very important as well.
Yeah. I seen he's like I think Laz was posting, his dad was posting about him being in state athletics as well. So he's certainly got a busy.
Well, looking at
calendar
Rehan,
of
it certainly wouldn't be the high jump.
Yeah, that's
Only
interesting.
short little fella.
No,
Is he?
He's a runner, I think. Yeah, yeah. That's good. Well, with Evolution Racing Team, so you talked about 2019 being the peak. I think I remember that quite well. Packets, do you recall that season of Scops at all? It would have been right when you were just coming into iRacing.
No, because I think when I just started to get into it, I think most of my intention was watching RSRA at the time, mainly because it was all right cars in there. I think I chimed into maybe Scots from time to time, but yeah, I don't really have much recollection of races back then with it.
I think, Brenton, you had about 10 to 12, maybe even more cars in top split Scops in that season. Well, talk to us what it was like
good.
to manage that.
It was really good. It was a fun year, really fun year. We won everything there was to win. Yep. But so with Scops, you've got to pre-qualify for each round. So you can't just lock in like we do with Pro Series. You qualify at say, and that's it. You're in for the season. That was good. It was really good. Like we had Jared with us, and I remember it's like Jared's huge name, and I think still to this day the best localized, like the Australian-based best sim racer that's in Australia. I think Josh Rogers has him covered for speed overall, but Jared is he's a freak, and he's won everything, and he works hard for it, and he deserves it, and people enjoy working with him and for him to get him up to speed. But yeah, we were lucky enough to get Jared. He was with who was he with? I can't remember which team he was with. He wasn't with them very long, and I just put a bit of bait in the water just to see if he'd be interested. And we'd only just started our Logitech sponsorship back then as well. And no, we didn't pay Jared to drive. But yeah, so we were looking pretty sharp back then in 2018. And I also was having a chat with Jordan Ross as well. And that's probably the first time. Jordan was a stupidly aggressive driver back then. Now he's just an aggressive driver. Yeah, so put a bit of bait in the water with Jared and thought, I will ask him, because I heard rumours that he wasn't happy in the team he was in. Might have even been TTL, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, so we were lucky enough to get both of them on board, and I remember doing the press release, doing the release that we got Jared, where we deliberately made the whole announcement about Jordan. You know how Jordan's joined DRT. It's great to have him. Rah 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 rah. And then the last line literally said, "Oh, and in other news, Jared Filser was joined the team." That was the announcement that Jared joined. And the amount I had PMs sent to me directly, and then even on the page, I can send you the link to the what we did. People just going, yeah, pigs might fly, or if that's not true, or yeah, as if type thing. Yeah, it's how it is. But yeah, so we blew out of proportion Jordan joining, and then yeah, another news Jared's with us as well. But yeah, so 2019 was a big success. First, second, and third in Scops overall. Even this little black duck, who never races, gets in top split in Scops, actually qualified top split at Most Sport that season, where Jordan still to this day has created the biggest first lap accident I've seen in my entire life, where at that one turn one, he's pretty much wiped out the entire field, and I started P last, and the crash was so huge, I actually stopped on the exit of one and just watched Armageddon occurring in front of me. And then there's obviously going to be a safety car, so I've just putted my way around. And I've gone from P40th to P7th and no damage on this little car. And I ended up finishing the top 10. That was awesome. Yeah, so my only top split appearance is a top 10 appearance, which is pretty cool. But apart from that, everything there was to win, we won. And it was just a good year, but we also took on the world with the GT3s as well, and that was Formula One as well. And she was a big team. a lot of the international guys, Logitech were very, very active with us that year, very active with us. And that they would pay all the drivers rego fees, and the amount of equipment that Logitech gave back then and still to this day give now, it's significant. Like, it's really significant. So Dan Hall and all the team at Logitech certainly helped with the team where it is now, or certainly was back then. So yeah, it was a good year. It was a good fun year. So they were with us for a couple of years, and things started getting a little bit tense with the overseas guys and the Australian guys, and it was gelling together. But 2019 was really, really good year. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's fair to say that you now look at keeping it as a smaller group rather than
So we had a fairly big team, 2025 even, like last year. I think we had 9 cars in the Pro Series, but biggest poison for any team, for anyone listening out there, the biggest poison for any team and team unity, when someone or some people go start their own Discord channel. That's the biggest poison a team can have, and some guys over there are doing testing, and some guys are in the ERT chat doing testing, and it's like one team chat, you know what I mean? So I was going, they're doing, all they're doing is asking for setups, and it just creates too much friction. So there were a lot of changes only last month for ERT, where a couple of guys in particular were moved on, and from that, a couple of other guys decided to move on, which were okay, and we wish them the best of luck, and it was great having them at the team for a while. But where we sit now, we're a lot smaller, but we're a lot more focused. Guys that we do have left now are working well together.
Yep. Yeah, and so still mainly focused on
the like we're a really small team right now, so yes, that's pretty much it. And to be honest with you, even with that, it's probably just going to be Pro Series. See what Ocean Colangelo does. She's got hopefully some plans to go over to Europe shortly. But otherwise, we've just got a few drivers that'll be doing Pro Series. And to be fair, like I was actually really keen for quite a while last year to shut down ERT, make it the last year completely, because my main focus is with Pro Series, and every time you need to make a decision, like when there's 9 ERT cars in there, it's a bit of a conflict of interest. So so I got to sit out. I deliberately sit out. It's the same with when Jordan and Hobbo were there. If there's an SSR car, or Madison, if there's a TTR car, like we deliberately sit out, or a Macca, if there's a 9.5 car in there, like we deliberately sit out of everything, and so we should. But for a long while there was some decisions that were made that would affect an ERT car. You say, that ain't right, and you can't say anything about it. So you just wear it. But it causes a bit of friction in the team, going, well, Brenton, why can't you do something about it? Well, because it's a conflict. We want the Pro Series to be exactly that. We want it to be as professional as possible, and I'm very comfortable in the integrity of the Pro Series. Very, very comfortable. Obviously, between Jordan and myself, we oversee the whole thing. Like, we're in charge of it, shall we say? But even though we're in charge of it, the amount of help that we get from like Reeksy and Macca and Dan Hall and Madison is significant. Like, they do so much outstandingly good work that we would not be anywhere without those guys, for sure. So so we're happy with the integrity, and if anyone wants to question us, we can justify what we've done with our decisions. And it's from that we've gained significant interest from other external sponsors, and also with Motorsport Australia. They put their trust in us. That we were the first series that Motorsport, Shu Barkwell, back then when he was working for MA, he contacted us and he said MA want to be involved with you guys. So I remember having meetings after meetings with Motorsport Australia, and they jumped on board both financially and support wise in pushing our series. Absolutely. And from there, they've also started to branch out and do other series. But every series that they branch out and help, the first people they come and ask, should we go on board with this series, they come and ask us first for an opinion. So We've said no as our opinions to a few, but we've certainly said yes as an opinion to a few as well. And just because we give a recommendation doesn't mean they have to follow, but they have so far.
Okay, we'll come back to Motorsport Australia. I think when we'll delve into Logitech.
When you say Logitech, you talk about the Pro Series, because everyone calls the Pro Series Logitech.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
Series.
I love the fact that people are calling the Pro Series the Logitech series. I love it because they're getting bang for their buck.
Yeah, Well, I've even just heard it referred to as Logi.
Perfect.
Like it is right from day one. That's pretty much what I called it. I think we had Macca and Laz Leonard on, and I heard them call it that right from the outset, and I think I've just followed it ever since. And now we're nearly 30 episodes deep, so we've pretty much just called it that the whole way through. So
and Logitech love that and deserve that type of thing because like I said, we'll get into it later on, but we put a proposal towards Logitech to help sponsor the series, and we had nothing. We just had 6 pieces of paper from the printer saying, "Can you get on board with something that doesn't actually exist yet?" And they were outstanding. Without them, there'd be no us. But we can absolutely get into that later.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering, in that 2019-2020 season, was anyone complaining on broadcast about too many ERT paints being on the broadcast?
Good day. G'day, Jay Kennedy. How are you? Jay and I didn't get along real well, but Jay and I did. Have you spoken to Jay? I'm assuming you may have. Jay's such
I'm actually it's all right. I'm actually having a sly dig because that was you guys in the IRWC league last season with us, the Riot team. Yeah, there's too many. You wanted us to change the paints up.
But yes, you're right. But we
it's a cheap shot.
It's a shot across the bow. That's okay. But we changed our liveries probably after about round 3. And we did it. We went Noah's Ark. We went 2x2. So I think we had 9 cars or 10 cars. So we actually formed them up that each car would look different, So they'd have still the base paint with the Logi on the side, but they'd actually all end up being different cars. But yes, you're right. They absolutely, for the first 3 rounds or 2 rounds, they absolutely looked the same. And as soon as I saw it, I went, that just looks shite.
See, I'm different. I reckon it looks awesome.
It looks better when Riot changed the colours of the car. It looks like so much better. Look way better.
Well, this season we went out and we've got our traditional car, and now we've got we're calling it an alternate livery, which is just based around this podcast. So it's a green and grey livery. And so, one day at iLivery said, "Thanks very much." He got another design out of it. So
he does a great job.
But he does awesome
Altus
work.
Were actually the first team to go to him, I believe.
Yeah.
So he does a great job. Now, Altus livery, I can't remember his name. You might know it. Yeah,
that was incredible. Livery. Yeah, that was absolutely. And he's I think I've said it many times. He's a graphic designer, so. You get graphic design, you get hit with graphic design rates, but I mean,
so do you sweat every time a new car comes out? So every time
it's hard to justify.
Out, do you sweat going, "Oh, how much is this going?"
Yeah, you do. And the exchange rate's pretty bad at the moment to the euro. So he's over there in Spain, but and stuff like the new Cup car, where it's like, "Oh, can we copy and paste over this?"
Same at ERT.
But then you end up not being. Yeah. And then for some reason, just because there's a couple of new air vents, the whole PSD changes on the livery.
We used to got Jake Blackall at Night Rider Designs. He's always done our liveries. Like, again, ERT.
Yep.
Yeah, well, ERT, he was the first team that ERT worked with. So we helped get him off the ground, and he so he doesn't have quite as much time and works some stupid hours, but He still comes through for us when we need him. Absolutely. Yeah, he does a good job too. It's good to have Jake around because he for a while, especially when the Supercar E Series was on for those all the liveries for that, and he did all right out of it too. But yeah, with the E Series with Supercars, they want a new livery for every car. So he was very busy. Checks kept on coming, so he was happy.
Yeah, well, we were with him to about 2019, and he said he couldn't do anything for us because he was too
That
busy
would be
doing the
right.
RT cars. So we had to
That
go
would
to
be
buy
right.
liveries.
Yeah. Busy time back then.
Very good. Mate, I want to touch just quickly on your involvement. I've got one question I'll build up to here, but your involvement with real world tracks down in Victoria. So how did you, I'm assuming you went from maybe the police force and then you were down with, was it Winton first and foremost?
I'm going to cut
Winton
a really
Raceway?
long story short. I was born and bred in Adelaide and was married for 20 years. And other circumstances, I respectfully asked my ex-wife to leave, and which I was very glad she did. But I've still got my two boys, or I've still got them, but even though one's grown up now and moved away, still got my youngest son watching the cricket at the moment. But yeah, so I'm normally okay at darts. Yeah. So because my youngest son had a disability, I couldn't be on call with the police. I was in charge of my own station up in Queensland, so I was always on call and going out in the middle of the night, helicopter here, car there, whatever. I was always going away. Sometimes I'd have to go away for days, and after I asked the ex to leave, I couldn't do that anymore because I didn't want to leave my youngest son with my older son. It's not his job to raise him. So I had to resign from the police. And the reason I'm saying I'm okay at darts, or thought I was okay at darts, well, I resigned from the police and I have no family up in Queensland at all. So I had a blank canvas. And so I put a map of Australia up. And I said to the boys, where are the Dartlands is where we're moving to. And I was aiming for Adelaide, I'm not going to lie. And it just went, it was too small a map. I should have got a bigger map. And it just went about this far to the right. I had the right height. And it landed in Wangaratta, in Victoria. Okay, where the hell's Wangaratta? So anyway, started applying for jobs in Wangaratta. Got one with the local council there, planning compliance. And I tell you right now, it was the worst place you could ever work. Don't ever work at a council. It was disgraceful. Did not.
Yeah. Well,
you work at a council? Do you work at a council?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are you doing?
That's right. I do. I'm a consulting arborist, so I'm one of the more hated.
I was
people,
in planning compliance, so I was almost the most hated person. But anyway.
Yeah, I would have worked very closely with you with
I hated every
planning compliance
about that job. Yep. Hated it. Yeah, because I went from being a somebody in the police to, I don't really give a shit if someone wants to put an A-frame up at the front of their shop. I just don't care. But it's important to the council, you know what I mean? And like, come on, really? They're putting a sign up. Well done, you. Anyway, but I was there for a while, and there was this particular day where I just thought, that's it. I've had a gutful. I'm done. I'm out. I would rather be unemployed than spend one more second of my life in this shithole. So I remember going up to my boss, Dean, and said, that's it, Dean. I'm done with this place. I'm quitting. I'm out. I said, I can't be here anymore. A lot of corruption going on there that I have nothing to do with. Minor corruption. But anyway, and I said, that's it. I said, I'm not going to be, I've got some integrity. I've never was questioned in the police, and I'm not going to plan on being questioned in the council about what. So I said, that's it. I'm quitting. And he goes, oh, just take it easy, Brent. Just take it easy. And he goes, just go home for the afternoon, have a think about it. I'll give you the afternoon off and get back to me tonight or tomorrow and give us your thoughts. So, yeah, no, I said, don't worry about Dean. I said, I'm done. I'm out of here. And I remember walking down the car park at Wangaratta's underneath the building. So it's downstairs car park. And from work and to my house, which I own a house in Wangaratta, bought it during COVID, which actually the month before COVID. I remember it's only about a 3.5, 4 minute drive from work to home. Normally I'd ride my bike, but it was a screaming hot drive. And in that time, in that 3.5, 4 minutes, Jeff Greck from Winton Raceway, he was general manager of Winton back then. He is again now. And I hadn't applied for a job at Winton. I didn't even know there was a job at Winton. But he rings me and goes, "Oh, mate, is this Brenton?" I'm like, "Yeah, who's this?" He goes, "Oh, Jeff Greck from Winton here." I'm like, and I thought it was someone in the council. He's a guy, good guy at the council, Daryl. He's aerodrome officer. I thought he was just taking the piss out of me. And I'm like, "Oh, yes, Jeffrey, what do you want, Jeffrey?" He goes, "Oh, mate, just know if you're looking for another job." And as soon as he said that, my first real words to my future boss was, "Get fucked, who's this?" And he's like, "Oh, mate, no, it is. It's Jeff Gregg." I'm like, "Okay, what are you after, Jeff?" He goes, "I just want to know if you're looking at another job." I said, "If you're the real Jeff Gregg, tell me a bit about yourself," because I knew Grecky reasonably well. You know, a lot of success with HRT and the Brock days and things like that. And you know, without Grecky, there'd be no Lounsey and no Scafey. So I said, "You know, how many Bathursts have you won?" He goes, "Well, Larry, and 10. I'm like, "Okay, that's a pretty quick, good answer. You got that right." And I said, "Well, what are you after, Jeff?" He goes, "I just want to know if you're interested in being the marketing manager at Winton." I'm like, "I've never done marketing and know nothing about marketing. I've never done anything about that in my life." He goes, "Well, Bruce Stewart from Walkinshaw contacted me, and he goes, right person to do marketing at Winton." I knew Bruce from the very first season of E-Series because I got Jared and I was trying to push for Ethan to be in the Walkinshaw team or the HRT back then. I can't remember. I think they might have been. Yeah, they were.
No, that was.
I think they still were. Can't remember. No, they were Walkinshaw Racing. So I remember going down there and signing the contracts for Jared and getting told that no, Ethan's not not getting the job. But anyway, so I organised that, and Bruce Stewart contacted Jeff and said, "You've got to get this guy. You know, he talks a good talk and he sells himself well, rah rah rah." And I said, "Yeah, okay, but you haven't seen anything." He goes, "No, no, no, no." Jeff goes, "No, I watched a video of what we used to do in ERT in 2019. We used to do because I used to try and media train all the guys. But it's been a big success for some of them, like Gordon Caruso and Ethan, for example. But one of them was like a mid-season review of Scops where I'm skiing at Falls Creek. So I do an entire run at Falls with my camera, with my selfie stick, doing a review. And it came out really well, you know, and I explained every drive. Well, because I'm over in Japan, I was a snow ski instructor, so I go right with the skis. So I'm doing this review of Scops while skiing. And so they use that to go, well, this guy obviously knows about marketing. I don't know shit about it. But anyway, but he says, "Oh, look, if you're interested, can you come in for an interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll come in for it." He goes, "When you want the interview?" He goes, "Oh, at the Northo Hotel, which is in Benalla in Victoria." And as soon as you've got a job interview at a hotel, you know you got the job. You know, if you've got it, I can tell you right now, if you're having a palmy doing a job interview, you've got the job. You know what I mean? You got your Bundy and your palmy, and you're away. You could talk shit all night, but you know you got the job. And yeah, so Chris Lewis Williams and Grecky did this interview. And as soon as it happened, I left the pub, rang up my boss at the council, and said, "Yeah, no, I've made my decision, Dean." I said, "I'm not coming back." He goes, "Oh, how are you going to support the boys? You don't have a job." I said, "No, I got a job." So this is only like hours afterwards. I said, "No, I got a job." Because, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm the new marketing manager at Winton. I start Monday. Bang. And that was it. So it was just ridiculous that in that little 3.5 minute window where I was throwing my toys out the cot about the council, is that, yeah, Grecky gave us a call, and Grecky's such a good guy. Still to this day, the best boss I've ever worked under. Yeah, got us at Winton and did really good fun times there, like really good times there. And that's where I really developed my internal knowledge of motorsport and the people in it, and how to deal with drivers and teams. And yeah, and also a lot of other things within the sport as well. And so I worked there for a few years and got through COVID. No one did more laps during COVID in a race car in 2020 than this little black duck because we were building a Hyundai XL. If I didn't do 1,500 laps of Winton in an XL, I'm not playing. You know what I mean? Like, we built this car from the ground up. Someone had to drive it. And so that's all we did was drive XLs around in circles. It was awesome. And then, opportunity. And Winton was going through some staff changes. Like generally in motor racing, I think there's about a 2 or 3 year window where they just shuffle the decks and get everyone out and they bring new people in. And you could just feel that. Like at Winton, there was a few people leaving, and it was just Grecky, myself, and one other, Deb. She was a receptionist. We were the only 3 there from the original lot, and you could tell that there was a bit of murmurs about let's clean out and start again, like they do at every track. And then that opportunity came up at Phillip Island Circuit as being in charge of motorsport. I'm pretty confident after my interview, and I've ended up down here and been here coming up to 5.
Okay, so you were at Winton during COVID.
Did a lot of good stuff there.
Coincidentally, Winton turns up on iRacing roughly around about the same time. So, how does Winton get involved in iRacing
right now? Exactly. Well, because
are you responsible?
And same with Sandown. Because like it's all well and good saying yes, I'll take the job at Winton as a marketing manager, but it doesn't mean I know jack shit about marketing. So I remember the first day I get to Winton, I make myself at home straight away, go to the coffee machine, make myself coffee, sit at my desk, and then go, now what do I do? You know, I had no idea what to do. And the only thing I knew in motor racing then was iRacing. And I'm like, okay, well, Winton needs to get some new sponsors, and how are we going to, it's all well and good to put billboards up at the track and paint the pit wall, and it all looks nice and fancy. And it looks good for those who come and go from the track. And Winton's boom years would have been 2018, 2019, 2020 when I was there. We did some feckin' good work. Like we had that place humming. It looked good, busy as all hell. We introduced both the federal and state police. We're using Winton as a training track. So especially the feds, they just throw ridiculous, endless coin at you. Even if they don't show up, they'll still throw coin at you. So that place was humming.
Yep.
But I also was thinking early doors about how else we can generate more income. And I thought, well, and this is before COVID. So racing went bang in 2020. So I think within 2 hours of me being there, I've sent an email from my Winton email address to Steve, at iRacing, going, Steve Myers.
Steve Myers.
Yep.
Steve Myers?
Yep. I said, there's a racing track in Australia. It won't take you long to scan. It's only 3 kilometres long. It's pretty easy. Not a lot of ups and downs. Would you be interested? They got back to me the next day because they had no tracks interested in getting scanned at all. And he's like, yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Back then, no one was showing interest. This was before COVID. And they said, yeah, absolutely. We'll organize it. Come on down. And then there was talk at the time of Sandown closing down as well. And it was like, well, while you're here, glad you could do a Winton, but so yeah, that's where it all started. I've probably still got a copy of the email somewhere, because I was surprised how quick their response was, and even more surprised how quick they said yes. And then when COVID hit and then sim racing went bang, every man and his dog that was at a track wanted their track scanned. Take a number. Winton's already done, and yeah, it was yeah, I was really surprised. So that's my iRacing legacy. That's my gift to iRacing, or what's the opposite of gift? People hate it.
Let's ask Packers what he thinks about that.
I'm the first $1 should not. Yeah,
I still want my money back.
I think it's a free track now. That's how well it's gone. But it doesn't matter. It dies. It's the same with Sandown. So
it's got a good skid pad. I'll give it that.
Water on it, yeah, it does. That's probably the most used thing there now. yeah, so yes.
What were we doing with it? The most fun we got out of it was we were using the center road as a drag strip with NASCARs.
Absolutely, and that's what we were planning on doing. We were actually just before COVID hit. There was, God damn, we had some good things going. And then COVID just drained every bit of coin. We were actually the only track in Australia open for a long while. During COVID, I actually helped introduce for professional sportsmen. I introduced that. The athletes could still practice their sports. So, like Buddy Pendlebury from Collingwood, where he was selling the fact that who was the cricketer? Anyway, it doesn't matter. There was a couple of Victorian. There was a cricketer. Harvey? Who's Harvey? All rounder. Doesn't matter. Ian Harvey. That's it.
Ian Harvey.
Yeah, well,
he's
doesn't
old.
mean he didn't love cricket.
Yeah, right.
And Pendles. So with myself and Ian Harvey and Pendle, there was another guy as well. But we introduced a professional athlete program where during COVID, athletes could still test, train, whatever. And it's easy for a footballer. Let's go to the oval and kick a ball. Cricketer, let's go to the nets and do a net session. But for a racing car driver, well, you need a track. So we were able to introduce and keep Winton open. A lot of the time, we had to get through this iron triangle that had to go through. But I was writing out hundreds of permits a week for people to leave Melbourne to come up to Winton. And like, at the end of the day, the Victorian government could not have stuffed COVID up even more if they tried, because we're talking about someone sitting in a car with a balaclava on and with a helmet on, and all they're worried about is staying within 6 feet of someone. You know what I mean? Like, God damn, we were dumb as dog. Anyway. So we had Winton going for a little while, but we had some bloody good times at Winton. Geez, they were the second most fun I've ever had in a job. It was good.
That's interesting, but it was I think our first experience with Winton packets. I think we tried to do the VRS enduro and hit the sausage curbs at the exit of, was it turn 2?
Oh yeah, and it just absolutely spat the car up in the air.
At Winton.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, it was when it was first released. I had it on the VRS schedule, and we did a VRS enduro there. And I think Dean was about 3 laps in before he sent the Porsche facing to the sky and then blew the engine on it straight away.
That was it.
So, and the other thing is, I actually had to hold off. Like, iRacing were going to come straight out and scan Winton pretty quickly, but then I had to hold because I knew we were doing some updates to the curbs at 3 and 4 in particular. So we said, well, there's no point coming out now. Get it done afterwards. And also did a deal with Logi to say that iRacing is coming out. You need some Logi billboards. So at the end of pit lane, you'll see that there's a Logi billboard, which is real. It's there in real life at Winton. But that was a throw in. So that was good. Yeah.
Nice one.
And that Logi billboard's still there to this day. And I know for a fact that Logi don't pay for it because they don't get asked to.
So it's interesting that you said that there wasn't many tracks reaching out to iRacing, because generally the narrative, I guess, when you're looking at all the build comments, is people usually, or especially us Aussies, are usually pretty quick to jump on iRacing saying, why aren't you coming out? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you scanning any of these tracks? But it's probably more the other way around, from what you were saying, that there's not many people reaching out to them to come and do it.
So that's a free hit. Pretty much most of the ovals in the US had been done, and supercars had started the conversation about an E-Series. That started it, and that obviously took off in COVID. So there was a need for more Australian tracks, but I know Eastern Creek was keen. Obviously, the Bend was very keen, and they went to a set of iRacing, which was not their best move, but they're obviously, we know now they're with iRacing, and so it's great just to have an extra Australian track, because really back then we had Bathurst, Phillip Island, Oran Park. Yeah, that's it. I think just the 3. So now look where we are now compared to where we used to be, and I know I'm not letting too many cats out the bag here, but I know the contract's been signed with iRacing and Eastern Creek. They got signed 12, 18 months ago. But everything went. Now every track in the world wants it, and iRacing are so focused on their dirt and Formula One tracks and things like that, and over in Europe, it's so easier access to scan tracks over in Europe and the States than it is to down here. But they did an excellent job with Adelaide, and that came out quick. But I know that there is a deal with City Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek, and iRacing. That I know that for a fact. So, but that doesn't mean it's going to be scanned or released anytime soon. It's the same with Pukekohe. Like that got scanned 2 years ago now. You reckon?
Yeah,
that's gone the way of the
Easily.
dodo at the moment.
No rush on that one.
I swear that was around the same time as Winton's
Close.
release.
Yeah,
that
close.
was announced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bringing it out with a new graphics engine.
Yeah. But yeah, you've been a big supporter packets for Eastern Creek coming on the service.
Yeah. That's there. I was most excited for Adelaide. I was excited for Sandown, and I love Sandown. I was really excited for Adelaide, but yeah, I really want Eastern Creek to be on there.
I know for a fact that the agreement's been signed. That was like 12, 18 months ago. I can touch with old mate and ask him, but
yeah. It's funny how some of them they can move quick on, and some of them they just sort of take their time with and don't mention until like the last second.
Yeah, but like I said,
it's funny.
There's so many tracks now around the world want to be on it. Yeah, they absolutely do. And with supercars, they were supposed to be doing another E-Series, like as we speak right now. Over the summer, they were going to be doing another one, and supercars would have been pushing to have Eastern Creek scanned and done because obviously they seem to use it 8 times a year. But it just hasn't gone anywhere that I know of. I haven't spoken to old mate at SMP for a while. I can certainly give him a call whenever I want to see where we're at, but I wouldn't expect any updated news because if there was, normally he would have told me anyway.
Yeah. Oh well, you might get a rescan of Phillip Island now before
that will
before
never
Sydney
happen.
Motorsport Park
I'm
comes
absolutely assure you of that because the management of Phillip Island don't even want Phillip Island on iRacing. So that's
wow.
So that was scanned way back when there was a Superbike round. But change of management since then, and they're not passionate about it. They don't really give two hoots about it. But I remember, because obviously managers at Phillip Island know my background, and they actually mentioned to me. They said, "How can we go about stopping it being on iRacing? Why would you want?" So they don't. There's no commercial arrangement, so they don't get any coin from it. And they were hoping that they could, but that's not part of the deal.
Right. Okay. So it's it's trying to make the most of your image or brand type thing.
And there's been so many changes to PI, even since I've been there. Like the amount of changes to the gravel traps, the barriers, turn 12, turn 1, 6, 8. Massive changes. The track that you see today in real life only resembles in direction where it is on the sim. It's not even close to where it's at now.
Yeah, I was just suddenly watching some stuff from it the other day, and it was just the main straight alone, completely different. Either side with advertising boards and stands and stuff that's come in there. So, yeah, right, that's interesting. All right, we don't want that leaving the service. So, maybe. Well, that's good. I'd rather the old version stay there than risk it not being there at all. That's cool. Very good. All right. Well, let's now jump into the Australian Sim Racing Group, and I guess take us back when you guys, who was sort of originally with you when it first started off, and it was, I guess, and what drove you to starting it?
So Jordan Ross was running with Hobbo, was running SSR, and I was obviously running ERT. And the big thing, the main game back then, and was for many years, was Scops, the V8 Premier Series. So the guys there have done a really good job for a really long time, but it was starting to come across as a bit old. And when you run things for such a long while, you can either become a little bit about things, and there were some decisions that were made that probably weren't in the best interest of those competing or those that were following it. It was, these are a good bunch of guys that it's a good series that lost its way. That's how I describe it. And I remember I was at Phillip Island, and I was actually on my way home from work, and I used to speak to Jordan quite a bit because when he was with ERT in 2019, and he would crack the shits about Scops, I'd crack the shits about Scops, and I wasn't even driving, but just the way things were going. And the only promotion that you would see from Scops is the pre-qual time, and in all honesty, if anyone out there in Scops land's listening, it hasn't changed. The only thing you see from Scops is pre-qual times, and we just thought we could do it better. And we thought that we would be able to offer more to Australian sim racers. So I remember it's clear as day, as if it was yesterday. I left work and I lived 6 k's from work to my house, and in that 6 k's, I rang Jordan and said, "We need to, what's stopping us starting our own series? Like Scops are very, very popular, but there's a lot of things that you learn, and people can learn. Like, don't get me wrong, the Pro Series has made mistakes, absolutely, and people could learn from that and improve on that. And we saw the same thing with Scops, that we would see things, go, yeah, they've got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, they got this right, this right, this right. Let's take the good things, let's track out the trash, and let's do it better. And so I rang up Jordan and said, what do you reckon? We can do this better than what they're going. He's like, yeah, I'm all in. He's all in. And just started from there, and there was a few absolute, despite my career in marketing, I'm still shit at it, but there's no one better in the world of marketing and promotion than Brenton Hobson. So that was an absolute no-brainer that if we don't get Hobbo, we don't go forward, because there was no AI back then, and I couldn't do pictures on paint and all that shit, or whatever was it? What do they call it now? I can't remember. But I could. Yeah, no. But what's the other one? Fancy when you got Photoshop. Yeah, you got to pay $1 billion for it now. So I could do Photoshop pretty good, but not Hobbo standard. And we wanted the bars here. Yeah. We wanted it here, and the only way to get it there was to get Hobbo to do that. So I got on to Hobbo. He was straight in. He was all in on it. I was like, shit, yeah. So we've got something here. And so between the three of us, probably a good month of talking as to how we wanted to develop. Yeah, and then we got on board with, I can't remember his name now. He used to do our broadcasting. He broadcast vets for a while. Luke. Can't remember his last name.
Do you remember that guy, Packets?
Yeah. I can't remember his name. I just remember his voice.
He did a really good job, though. He introduced a helicopter shot and in-car shot. It was fantastic.
Yeah. He used to use like the wide world of sports music and that as well to do replays and that. Yeah. It was like, he got me hooked, like with the way he did it. I loved it.
Because SimSpeed with Jay was so committed to Scops and also so many other things, we wanted to go a complete different direction, to add a lot of originality to it. So we got in touch with Luke, and he was all in. Hey, like he was like this. It was also a really good chance for him to get more exposure. So he was all in, and the stuff that he'd actually have the flight sim, and he'd fly over the track, and he was awesome. But anyway, so having Hobbo was number one that we had to do, and the second thing we had to do, and Stephen Sandman Clark, we had to have him as a commentator. He was actually outside of Hobbo. Sandman was the very first person I asked to join us, because we've got some really good commentators now, not just within SimSpeed, but other broadcasts as well. And Scott Rankin does a fantastic job, and Reese Gardner, all these guys do good jobs. But there's no one better in the game. Zach Command, excellent as well, really, really good. But there's no one better in the game, in my opinion, long term. And he's the voice of supercars, is Stephen Sandman Clark. So he was actually the very first person that we contacted, because if we get Sandman, people gravitate towards him and what he does, and he brings it all to life in front of you. So once we got Sandman and we had Hobbo and Jordan and I, we've got something here. And it's all well and good to say that, but then you need the support and then you need to raise the ideas and how to make a better product easier to run. Yeah. So the first thing we did is we dumped pre-qualifying every single round, and it's like, okay, you qualify at the start of the year, and you've got a ticket for the whole year. So yeah, so got in touch with Dan Hall at Logitech, who's one of the greatest guys God ever created. I'm an atheist, but you get what I mean. But he's, he wrote us a check for a certain amount and said, you have got my support. And yeah, we gave him a sponsorship proposal, but he really, I love Dan. He went off of what I was selling to him verbally. We had nothing to show him apart from a bunch of pictures of what we could do. And he's like, I'm all in. I'm all in. You tell me what you need and we'll get this done. And so he did it. And without that financial support, we wouldn't have taken off. And and we need that financial support because guys like Sandman don't come for free. You know what I mean? And the broadcasts don't come for free. And so sometimes if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. We don't pay peanuts. We pay our guys good coin. Like the safety car earns for however many laps he does. He gets way too much, in my opinion. But sorry, Mick, but you just do. But you wouldn't have these guys coming in and helping with all the experience. We've got, we had Simon Black and Mike Korolev, who are just unbelievably fantastic supporters of the series and supporters of sim racing as a whole. But they left Scops to come over to us. And sure, they've stepped back to a point where they don't run the whole thing. Like they handed the keys to Scops over to the guys that run it now. But they've come over to us and they've stepped down from a lot, but they still do a lot. And they add so much experience, so much professionalism, give good advice. And, it all just, it's almost got to the stage now. Well, actually, no, it has got to the stage over the last couple of years where we firmly believe that Australian sim racing is in desperate need of an echelon as to where to get to the top. So you're down here racing in whatever series. We want people to have a goal to get to where, you know what I mean? And we want to be where, so that's our goal. I think we've achieved that in supercar land, where people who are racing in Scops, who are racing in Vets, who are racing in other leagues, saying, I'm doing this because I want to see if I can get in the Pro Series next year. And so that's what they're doing. So, it's worked out incredibly well. Our very, very first race at Laguna Seca, round 1, race 1, was still to this day probably the best sim race I've ever seen, and was just called amazingly by Sandman. I think Jake Blackhole was in our first commentary team with Sandman back then, where poor old Jake Burton had the race won as he exited the last corner and ran out of fuel and coughed. As a trivia question, I think you'll see that the answer of who won the first pro race, the answer is Brady Myers, because the top 3 or 4 cars were all within, this is after 62 laps, were all within a car length and a half. It was an amazing finish. And it was just amazing. So straight away, the interest in the series went through the roof, and iRacing took it on and showed the videos and all of that. And the drivers really, I think, appreciate not having to stuff around with pre-qual all the time. And they also, you don't have to do, one thing with Scops, and it used to pip us all off so much, was, let's do a setup for the hot weather and let's do a setup for the cold weather and all this stuff. Where in real life, you look at the weather report, you know what I mean? You know if it's going to be cold or you know if it's going to be hot. Unless you live in Melbourne, then it's going to be both. So we give them we were the first to say, we're going to use the live weather. Whatever that day's weather is, that's what we're going to set up. So it's on YouTube, and we give them the web page, the weather web page as to what to look at. So we're not going to say, we look at this page and you look at that page. No, this is the page that you look at, and it's suited to that particular track. This is the weather report. And so if you're going to do testing, test to this weather. Now, if the weather changes on the day, that's not us. That's whatever they call it, climate emergency bullshit. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we give them a hint, and that's another big selling point of what we do. We've produced a better series, which is easier to run and just looks professional. And from that, the guy Shu Barkwell from Motorsport Australia found out about it, and MA wanted to have endless amounts of meetings with us, Pravin and Shub, who both left MA now, sadly, because they did a cracking job. And they wanted in with us. We were the first series that they approached to say, look, can Motorsport Australia have an affiliation with this series? Well, our first answer was, yeah, well, let's talk about it. And then they threw a contract in our face, and Jordan Ross said, we're not signing that. That's not what we want, because they wanted us to change our name to the Australian Touring Car Championship. No, we race supercars. And they said, well, you can't have the supercars name.
Yeah.
Well, we can. We just don't have the Motorsport Australia name. So they actually came around to us and said, well, okay, if you're going to stick to it, stick with you've still got us. So yeah, you're the supercar championship. So that's what we are. And yeah, we certainly haven't said yes to every Tom, Dick and Harry. But we've certainly, in the end, through what we can produce and the exposure that we give and the professionalism that we offer, we've got to a point now where we've actually had to turn some sponsors away because there's a conflict of interest with other sponsors we already had. But yeah, no, we're in we've already paid for this year's broadcast, and we're in a really strong position, Also, part of being with MA is, sorry to everyone out there, that we helped introduce the esports license. So MA get a cut for it, but license for a year's $35. But if you've got a real MA license, you don't have to get an esports license. Rah. But that's part of being in the Pro Series, that you have to have an esports license. And also, I made sure that all of our stewards and officials went through and at minimum did their bronze qualification with MA, which is free. Good luck to them. A lot of it's just online stuff. So you guys like Pete Baxter and Mike Korolev and all that, who hadn't done anything with MA before, it's like, well, you guys are awesome, but you don't give out any penalties or any stuff like that until you've done the training. So they went out, did the training, and showed me the certificate to say, yep, they've reached bronze qualification. Therefore, yep, you're in. So that's where we're at. Like we didn't want any Tom, Dick, and Harry just coming along. We wanted them not just to say that they're the best in the field, but we actually wanted them to prove that they're the best in the field. And then the drivers, after season 2, wanted a DSO, and they kept on saying, "Oh, yeah, it'd be great if it's all well and good to have someone on a sim racer who's a DSO, a driving standards officer." But they said, "Oh, it'd be good if we can get someone else." That's all right. Gave Tommy Randall a call. Tom, you interested in doing this? Tommy's on board. So Tommy did 2 seasons with us as a driving DSO, and straight away it's like, okay, well, these guys that are organising ASRG, they're the real deal. We've asked for this to happen, and you've gone out and got Tommy Randall.
Yep.
And then there's another guy, JT. He's the voice you'll hear on the Supercars broadcast when there's a safety car. He's the voice you hear, or he's the one that broadcasts the penalties. JT, if I need some help with him when he comes to the track, because I work with JT pretty closely, he gives advice. And same with Beardo. Like when Beardo comes out, does SRO or does some other national series, I'll sit down next to Beardo in the control tower, show him a video, a couple of incidents, going, okay, well, driver's appealing this one. What do you reckon? Yeah, no, stuff that he's still wrong, Brenton. Just fucking fire a penalty at him. Okay, no worries. And so you tell a driver who's appealed it, going, well, I've showed this to Beardo, and he says you're in the wrong. What's that driver going to do? You know what I mean? He's going to say, oh, yeah, but Beardo's wrong. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So
yeah.
So we haven't. I don't want to over exaggerate because we haven't used them that much, but we certainly have used them. Yeah. And thing was with Tommy Randall, just such a good guy. There's not many good guys in the Supercar grid, but he's one of them. He would just give his time. Like you would say, yeah, we're organising an appeal. It's going to be on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Can you be there? Can't be there on Tuesday. Can you make it Wednesday? Yep, done, bang, and he's there. And sometimes it only takes 10 minutes. Sometimes the driver just wants to, appeal because they get the chance to talk to Tom Randall. But overall, it just added further to our championship, and so it's it does.
Adds a lot of integrity to it.
Tommy ran out of time.
That's for sure.
Last year a lot.
Yeah.
But we still can go to him. Like he said, we can go to him if needed. And like I said, we're now at the stage where we had Giz racing in our Bathurst 1000. So one of our rules is that you can only be on in an Australian server, like an Australian internet, but you can't be racing from overseas. So we've previously said no to Giz and Scotty McLaughlin a couple of years ago, But Giz was really keen this year with Lobs. Lobs are doing a fantastic job. They are the benchmark of results. And the way they're being run. There's a bunch of guys having fun. And good luck to them. But geez, they put it together. With Brody and Anton and Giz. We let Giz race at Bathurst this year. And he did a fantastic job. He always does a fantastic job. And same with Andre. He races for TTR. He's racing full time this year in the series. We give him a wild card. He loves it, just loves it, and loves the way it's run. So it's good to get that recognition from the real supercars guys. Not that we were chasing it, but it's still good to have. Supercars themselves certainly were showing interest in it last year, and then they wanted to go their own way this year, but they haven't done it, which reminds me I've got to talk to them this week about our series, if they want to have any involvement at all. It's still going in the right direction. It hasn't plateaued. Like every year we've improved something. And this year we're trying something different. We're putting all our enduros in the middle of the season. That might not work, but it's in the middle of winter when there's no real racing on. There's no other real Bathurst. I think when Bathurst is on, it's just swamped. There's too many Bathursts on at once. And
we've often said, talked about seeing guys do upwards of 10 Bathurst 1000s in the space of a month.
And so we've moved ours to the middle of the year, in August. Our Bathurst is. It's winter. Everyone's available. They're not our series calendar is based off the Supercars calendar, AFL Grand Final, NRL Grand Final, all that stuff. So we don't trip over public holidays. We don't trip over any of that stuff. So we're hoping it works. If it doesn't, didn't work, we change it next year. But at the moment, it's all.
Packets. I was wondering whether you're interested there when you heard the DSO position was open. Someone that likes to be a bit of a come again race steward.
Look, I'm good at appealing. I don't know if I'm good at being on the opposite end of the stick.
I think we should send you to go get your bronze. Motorsport Australia.
When that topic come up, I had a feeling you're going to get in it, right?
I was just waiting for a chance.
Maybe
to fill you in, Brenton. Our friend here's had a few run-ins with race control recently. So he's
only one in particular.
You got to name names. You have to name
point
names.
That out.
No. Put you on the spot. Don't be chicken shit. Name names. What series?
Premier Endurance League.
Endurance League.
Yeah, it's the it's the only series I've had issues of race control is in. But yeah, I get off what's my strike rate for usually getting an appeal? It's like it's good. It's up in the 90s. There's not many I don't get off.
Yeah, I like the thought process that you're going to turn yourself into a race steward. I reckon that's your future in iRacing.
You start to learn as to how it all works.
Exactly.
Check on the cricket score here.
He's got the
holy shit. Perth made 232. Yeah, God.
Oh, yeah.
Strikers aren't far away. They're 125 after 10 overs. They're actually ahead of it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. So what do we want? Yeah. Okay. So let's Motorsport Australia. So we're relatively, well, we're not in the know, but Motorsport Australia, we know that they come in roughly around about the back end of COVID. They had F4 going there for a while. Yeah. And so they got involved with you guys at ASRG. Are they still involved and are they still showing lots of interest with esports?
So they've got someone
Australia?
they've got a full-time person there in a full-time role. Ben Christie's the guy who does esports. They're still interested. Yeah, they are interested. But no, they're interested for sure. So they recognize, they support us financially, but they get some coin back obviously through licensing and stuff like that. But the other thing is that they support other championships as well, and they actually recognise the series winners as the national champion in that particular series. So, for example, last year, 2 years ago, like Madison Down flew down to the awards night, the MA awards night in Melbourne, where Rusty was up there talking about the Pro Series, gets a trophy, babies, all that type of thing, and away he goes. So, yeah, it's good for sim racing to get that recognition. I think where MA is dropping the ball, is that they're probably too focused on doing live events. Live events just have not worked. They seem to spend a lot of time and overcommit to doing live events. That doesn't necessarily present to me and to others the best feel for sim racing. I know because I work at Formula One as well. So come March 6th or whatever it is, MA will have a stand there and they'll have a sim racing rig set up and they'll try and introduce it. It just doesn't work. It's not sim racing. It's kids on PlayStations driving around, if you know what I mean. It's not working. It's not genuine sim racing. And I'll say the same about the Supercar E Series, which I think was an absolute abomination. At first, it started off well, and it was on Fox, and it was popular. But drivers are being drivers. They're just lazy. They don't want to be practicing and testing and stuff like that. So by the end of it, every second race seemed to be an oval race because you didn't have to worry about setups. You didn't have to worry about testing. It's just put your foot down and turn left. That's because the drivers didn't want to do any testing. And it just didn't work. And I don't think some of the commentators helped our cause at all. I think Crompo doesn't like sim racing at all. Scafie's doesn't like it at all. And they didn't go out of their way to promote it and push it at all. And they still hold those views today. But, you've got other guys like Johnny Simon who was in the background doing commentary, and he loves sim racing. That's how he started in commentating, was in sim racing. So he works for Channel 10 in Melbourne in sports now because of where he started in sim racing. So, so I don't think the E-Series was a success at all. They were throwing around a bit of coin, but the registration and nomination for E-Series was ridiculous. Like, it was so expensive, ridiculously expensive. And if you didn't have a sponsor, you wouldn't, kid to race in the E-Series because there's numbers. I guess Fox demand quite a high amount to cost, but for a while there, the Supercar E-Series was the only live sport in the world that was broadcasted with COVID. And they got good numbers, but those numbers dwindled away pretty quick. And I think to the point where, I remember a crash at Phillip Island where Davey Reynolds got airborne, and it was just a piss take. You know what I mean? It just became who can concentrate on the most unrealistic crashes more than the actual skill of those who are actually driving and leading and winning races. And that's what it became. It became a game. It lost its way as a sim, and it became a game. That's where it lost its way.
Yeah. I remember Dave Reynolds was an absolute menace in that series.
Fun fact: he was actually using my sim. He was actually using my sim rig. I actually remember loading. Yeah. Still to this day, I haven't got it back. I remember giving it a guy, Paul Thomas, who used to work with Erebus. Good guy, Tomo. He runs OG gloves or the OG gear now. Good guy. He came to Winton and said, "Have you got anything?" I said, "Yeah, just give him this." Back of the trailer, and I haven't seen it since. So David Reynolds was using that, and I regret to this day giving it to him. Yeah, because he just took the piss out of it.
Yeah. Oh no, that's hilarious that he's got.
Yeah, and Gary Jacobson, he was driving back then as well. He actually, and because it was during COVID, he lived in Shepparton and I lived in Wangaratta. And Gaz actually didn't have a sim rig at home. He actually was racing from my lounge room. Yeah, so he actually come from Shepparton to Wangaratta to use my sim rig to race in the E-Series. And good guy, but in the end, I don't expect him to remember, but no one will take notice. He actually didn't do the last 2 rounds because there was one race that he was racing in. And my young bloke, he had disability. He was, 14, 15 back then. came in and tried to talk to Gary or said something while Gary was racing and Gary crashed. There's no way it's my young bloke's fault. But Gary turned around to my son, just told him to shut the fuck up. So that's it, Gaz. You're out. You're gone. So I haven't seen him spoke to Gary since. And he didn't do the last 2 rounds because he didn't have access to a sim rig. But he'd be driving a school bus in Shepparton still. And he's a good guy. He's a good guy, but just put on his driver's mentality. And yeah, that was it. See you later.
Yeah. You'd think you'd be able to scrape a few coins together
he's got
whilst
really
running in
good
the
setup.
supercars to be able to get a
He
sim
ended
rig up.
for the next year after that. He ended up getting a really good setup. He did a good deal with Modem, and got a really, really good setup. So yeah, and then now he's not in supercars at all for his own reasons. Silly boy, but yeah. So he's last I heard he's driving school buses in Shepparton. For his dad owns a bus company up there. So yeah, guy, but just had a bad moment. But I had to be seen to be, my family's number one, so I had to be seen to be doing something. And my son was really taken aback by it, and he was upset by it. And Dad said, "Sorry, Gaz, you got to go." And he was apologetic. He was, but it was something you couldn't get back.
Yep. Oh God. Fair enough. That's like you said, had the driver's mentality on. Wouldn't have known who he was talking to, but yeah. Well, at least he took it seriously then. Not like if it was Dave Reynolds in your lounge rooms, then you.
Yeah, no, I think Davey went out of his way to crash as quick as he could, so he didn't have to do another lap. That Davey.
Very good. With this year, so you've mentioned, so we know we've got the supercars coming. I'm assuming there's not going to be much other announcements as whether another GT3 Pro Invitational Series is going to be coming.
GT3's dead. Yeah, there were a couple of mistakes we made there. Number one was BOP in the GT3 is just disgusting. You know what I mean? So we wanted,
we just talked about that recently as well.
We didn't want, every bloody Chev racing at Indianapolis or so where were we at Daytona, and we didn't want all the Audis driving. You know what I mean? You need to break it up. The best way we thought, none of us had GT experience, and we actually went out of our way to try and get some GT guys in to say, look, we're running a GT3 series, but under the ASRG umbrella, we want you to do it. Yeah. And I'm not going to mention names, but there was about 3 or 4 of them go, yeah, I'll do it. And they started off really well for the first 3 or 4 days, and that's it. All of a sudden, it just became too hard, and we're stuck with it. We only ran 6 rounds as a bit of a pilot. We thought 6 rounds would be right because it won't be too much work. We'll know if it works. But I think in the end, 6 rounds is probably what killed it because we just lost all momentum. You'd have a race, and then you wait 2 months, and you have another race. You wait 2 months, and then in that time, drivers had changed teams. And can this guy drive with us? Can we swap cars? Bullshit. And it just didn't work. And by the end of it, we couldn't kill it quick enough. I'll be honest with you. So it's gone. But by saying that, no, we're not sitting around doing nothing. So by the time that this podcast is released, you will find that we are running a Porsche Pro Series as well, which we've already got MA backing for, and we've already got decent sponsor. Actually, no, we've got really good sponsorship from someone else, a naming rights partner to that. The only thing that we're at the moment is putting us on hold. Haven't released it yet. We're actually waiting for Porsche themselves to sign off to say they want to be on board. And if they do come on board, then Speed Cafe will broadcast it. I'm only going to give Porsche another week because we need to get it out there because we're running the Porsche series exactly the same as what we're running the supercars. So there'll be 3 rounds of pre-qual and then 3 nights of pre-qual where you've got to try and qualify it. It's Oshtisch, Giebren, and Rudsken, whatever. Yeah, those 2 tracks. A German.
Oshtisch.
Yeah, those 2 tracks. So that's where the pre-qual's at. And then, so that starts the 12th of February, 12th, 13th, 14th of February for those 3 pre-qual nights. And then the 4 quali races, Magny-Cours, Mugello, Montreal, I hate Montreal, and Sebring, starts on the 18th of February. So that's one component of what ASRG is doing, and we're really looking forward to that. And again, that's if you qualify for those rounds, you don't have to do pre-qual at all. So the actual main series starts April Fool's Day. That's a bit of a shocker, and it finishes up on the 27th of February in Adelaide. That'll be a Friday night race for a 300k. But we've got a really good opportunity with Porsche because there was a big hole in the GT3. So many people wanted to do it, but they're limited with the amount of cars and there was co-drivers. Whereas this one here, and this is open to all. So if you're a supercar driver and you want to do Porsches as well, you're allowed to. So the races will be on Wednesday nights. It's going to be broadcast by SimSpeed TV, all that type of stuff. What we do for supercars is what we're going to do for Porsche as well. It's going to be web pages going to be up shortly. I know Hobbo's working on that this weekend, in fact. So we'll be announcing that this week. Really, really looking forward to that. The one of the rounds is going to be a support race on a Friday night for the Bathurst 1000, but that'll be our Friday night race for the Porsches. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be really good. Really, really looking forward to it. And it's a good car to drive, and there's a lot of interest in Porsche series in Australia. We wanted to give other drivers who aren't involved in supercars, because let's face it, the supercars is a pig to drive. We wanted people who are GT background or want to drive Porsches, want to give them their moment in the sun as well. So what you see with Porsche will be exactly what you see with supercars as well. It's going to be, and the naming rights sponsor, which is Moser, completely opposite of Logitech, we know. And Logitech, that was going to be a massive conflict. We actually had to get permission from Logitech to get Moser on board. Moser approached us, and they've been excellent since. So there's a lot of support there. But that's two components. We're running the V8 Pro and we're running the Porsche series, which is awesome. Yay, lots of fun. And the Porsches will be on Wednesday nights as well. So when there's not a V8 Pro race on, there's a chance there's a Porsche race on. But then further than that, there's outstanding, my son's going off about strikes at the moment. There's also an outstanding dirt series, ODSE, which Brady Baldwin's been running. Well, so that's come to us as well.
Yep.
So we're running a sprint car series as well, which, to be honest, it's already there. We don't really have to do anything. Brady does such an amazingly good job with it that we don't actually have to do anything. We just run under our umbrella. So we do for them is give them more promotion, and we give them a hobbo, and we give them commentators and all that stuff. We organise all that, and he just gets cars to go around in circles, and he does a really good job on that. So there's those three series. And then way back when, I'm not sure you guys remember, there used to be something called the Dev Series. OSR, Simon Black used to run the Dev Series.
Yes,
we're bringing that back as well. So there's going to be a Dev Series, which is on Tuesday nights. There are no bells or whistles. There are no broadcasts. There's nothing like that. It's just guys who want to come in, hopefully get some driver coaching from a pro driver, which is going to be part of the deal for pro drivers to give their time to do that. But and we're not talking mega prizes or anything like that. It's going to have live stewards. We're going to do all that. But we just want guys who aren't in pro series, who aren't co-drivers. We want them to go, well, if we want to practice somewhere, we want to get better in the supercar. Really, we want a focus on that. So there's going to be 2 seasons within this year of Dev Series, which I've got to admit we are dragging the chain on a little bit at the moment. But that's got Motorsports Australia approval, so it's actually going to be the Motorsport Australia Supercar Dev Series. And Simon Black, an inaugural Hall of Fame member, is running that. And people need to remember that OSR is still to this day, there are more members of the OSR in a league, in OSR and iRacing, than any other league in the world. So, OSR with Mike and Simon did an amazing job, and Simon has, since they dropped Dev Series 5 years ago, he's wanted it back in. So between him and Reeksy, here you go, boys, and they're going to be running Dev Series. Tuesday night, I won't even be there. But it's not just a matter so it's not just a matter of having drivers learning. We're not going to have any stewards at all that have been stewards before, because we want people. There you go. There you go. This is all you.
I've just fit.
Yeah,
there's
right
the number one
Packett's
steward right
in.
there.
Packett's in.
Sign him up.
So, hang on, just got to write that down. We'll get the contract to you shortly. No,
Yeah.
because
I'll give you his address and his
it's
phone
on
number.
police
if you want.
file anyway. So
yeah, it would definitely would be. Yeah.
so we're going to be.
I'm a lawyer too, by the way.
Let me guess, a criminal lawyer, because trust me, all lawyers are criminal. Yeah, all lawyers are criminal. But so we're going to be teaching officials as well. So that's how we want to do it. We want because one thing I've always been pestering MA about is that if we have a steward pull out at the last minute, we go, well, who's going to replace him? Do you have a list of all the stewards? No, we've got nothing. So it's like, well, frick it, we'll develop our own list. So yeah, we're going to be teaching stewards as well to come in. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be real good. And it costs like $5 to enter or $10
That's
to
a huge
enter.
year ahead.
It's nothing.
Yep. Oh, that is exciting. I didn't think we would get a reveal on tonight's show, but I had my fingers and toes crossed that Porsche.
Yeah, well,
coming down.
If I start clicking away at Hobbo right now, I would say that he's been working on. Well, he said he was working on the weekend. But yes, so it's definitely happening. Really looking forward to it. Like I said, and it starts in a month, the prequel. So, what have we got here? So, the day after the Supercar Pro qualifying finishes, so that finishes 11th of February. The following day is when the prequel starts for Porsche. And then from there, there's a mix and match. The tracks don't match the supercars generally most of the time. So go out and learn a new track. But the tracks are pretty cool. Hockenheim, Spa, Nürburgring, Zolder, Zandvoort, Red Bull Ring, Bathurst, Phillip Island, the Bend, Miami. That'd be pretty cool. Imola and Adelaide. There you go. That's a schedule in order without giving you the dates. I can't be bothered reading them.
No, that's awesome. That's great news. What did you make of that, Packets?
I think.
But why not you? Why wouldn't you give it a go?
I think
that's the thing. Like, there's so many people giving the super. We've got over 100 and something entries to try and pre-qual for the Supercar series, and I reckon probably about 40 of them go, I got no chance. I just want to see where I am compared to everyone else. That's what we want.
No, it might be a conflict. It might be a conflict of interest for me if I'm going to be doing appeals.
So you're in. Oh, that's right. No, hang on. That's right.
You're going to be doing the race, Judy.
Packets at bigpond.com. You're getting an email
right now. Done. Yeah.
I think we're definitely going to have a few guys keen within the team, I think. At least I hope I am. But yeah, no, I think we'll definitely have a few guys that'll be keen.
Ben Pedersen,
I think we just... Yeah, Ben Pedersen, Hayden Smith.
Yeah, so
few people that aren't really happy with the new car, but
why are they not happy? Because of the traction control, the ABS. Like, so we're probably thinking of turning them all off.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people, like me myself, I still think the car's hard to drive. I still think the car, if you abuse the ABS, it doesn't turn at all. It still just wants to wash through the corner. So I think it still has the finesse that you need to make it to be on pace. But like, yeah, I don't know, like people just hear those words and they just think it's GT3 now. I'm like, nah, it's still hard to drive. Like, I think it's easier for lower level people to drive, but I think to actually have proper pace in it, like it's still hard. Like it's not an easy car to drive, especially when you compare it to a GT3. Like I jumped in, I'm like, this is definitely not a GT3.
That adds to it, doesn't it? Like if it was easy, everyone would do it. You know what I mean? So, like I said, we're going to be the Pro Series for a reason, where we want the best guys doing it. And I think that sometimes that's where we fell away with the GT3 Enduros, where some punter with a 150 I rating would show up as a co-driver and hasn't really done anything to earn his way in. But we're not going to have that in this series. It's you're on your own. And see what you got. And I know there's a few of the supercar guys are keen to get into it as well. I'm not saying all of them by any means. It's certainly not all of them. But there's a core group keen to do both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely. I've definitely found it. There's a lot of adjustments to be done between the old car and this car, and what I've noticed straight away is plenty of people can turn out a lap, but you even see from, going back to last week's iRacing World Challenge broadcast, like people can't put it together over a stint.
That was around at Brands Hatch. You watched?
There's a lot of yeah. So and I've seen it just in officials in Interlagos this week as well. Like the car doesn't like the curbs at the moment, and I think that's going to get ironed out. And we're sort of waiting and sort of trying to adapt to a car that I think will change. And yeah, you get a lot of oversteer brake, especially if you trail brake or you get into the curbs. The car gets super unsettled. So it's really easy to have a moment every 4 or 5 laps, and I think that's where people are getting caught out. You can produce a lap time, but maybe not be quick over a whole stint. It seems to be really hard to be consistent there.
Yeah, the funniest thing for me is like people, and this is a consistent thing that I hear people whinge about is. People are like, people are just sending it into turn 1 or at hard braking zones now and just causing carnage. And I'm like, man, that was with the old car all the time. How many times did you come into turn 1 in the old car and someone had locked it up and just absolutely did a smoke show into turn 1 and wiped out a heap of people? I'm like, man, that happened worse in the old car. Like,
only when you were behind me.
Oh yeah. Actually, I've got a good video. I've got a good video of that one, actually. Hungaroring, I think it was.
Yeah, no, that's all right. The cold new tire models catching a lot of people out.
Yeah, it was obvious.
Yeah, it's really hard to drive. So
yeah. It's a massive change, but yeah, I think like the little time I spent of it, like I think it's good.
The racing,
like it's a good change.
Well, it was pretty sloppy at the back, not gonna lie, and there was just a lot of mistakes. I think the track plays its part in that as well. But I think once everyone gets used to it, like you said, it'll produce some really good racing. It's one-make racing. I wouldn't even know how hard those things are to set up. I don't think there's too much to it. Is it really? There's less to that than there's a supercar. So
no, yeah, absolutely. You can get your head around it a lot faster than a supercar
so that's
in terms
good.
of setup for
so
sure.
That's what we want. That tightens everything up even more. Like at the moment, if you said, whereas everyone out with supercars, there's lobs is up here with their setups and the way they drive it, and then there's a real tight bunch with TTR, ERT, probably Chiefs. I would think are in. Well, Chiefs are in there as well on their day. So there's those 3 there, but it'd be lobs, TTR, and then underneath them ERT, Chiefs, and 9.5. But there's a big change. There's a big difference in setup theories there for sure, and you won't have that with Porsche. You won't have that with
it's awesome to hear that there's so much about to happen with the Australian Sim Racing Group, and we're hoping that we hope that there's more exposure coming to the I guess the sim community here in Australia, or iRacing community here in Australia, and you guys are sort of at the forefront at the moment. And hopefully some attention comes. I don't know what that looks like.
Through lack of bloody trying, I tell you.
You guys are doing an awesome job.
There's just a steadfast refusal to acknowledge sim racing in so many circles within motor racing. A lot of it's an old man sport still. It's an expensive old man sport. People still, picture in their head Brock and Johnson coming up Mountain Straight, Kevin Bartlett flying himself upside down. You know what I mean? They still picture that in their heads. They haven't caught on to the fact that there's such a thing called a PC. They can't imagine people actually holding a steering wheel and using pedals. They all see kids with PlayStation controllers and they think that's some kid eating pretzels whilst playing PlayStation. It's not that at all. And we're trying to that's what we're really trying to push and promote, is that these guys are real. You know what I mean? And we've got some genuinely quick guys. Like you look at Job Stewart, this year, another ERT driver. Brody. Yeah, there's a guy, I can't remember his name. Does Formula One, Max Verk. I can't remember his name. Anyway, but he. That's it, Franz. But he goes all right. He goes all right in sim racing, and there's a reason that him and Giz go all right in real racing, because they do so much sim racing as well, Max learns a lot from sim racing. He's said that so many times. He learns a lot from sim racing. So, it's just as much as ASRG is pushing it, and we are pushing it harder than anyone's ever pushed it before. We've still got a long way to go to have acknowledgement in Australia, and we thought.
Yeah. I think it's starting to get traction
definitely
outside
is
of Australia,
outside of
but
Australia.
I think like in Europe, Australia's just struggling with it. Like in Europe, so like the Nürburgring Endurance Series, a real life one, since Verstappen has done his whole license testing and done a GT3 and that, they're now using the iRacing Nürburgring Endurance Series as your stepping stone for your license to, they're using that as your actual record to do the stepping stones now rather than doing the real race. So yeah, it's pretty cool that you can actually go and do things like that now. And obviously they're starting to take notes around the world. It's just that we're a bit slow
the
with it.
traditional soccer dads out there will tell their kids to get into a go-kart still. I think those days are gone, I'll be honest with you. Like go-karts are so expensive.
Yeah.
And you get some good drivers from there. You do, there's no doubt. But it's almost a stage now, is it worth the expense? Like I look at Ethan, he's Ethan Grigol, 3-time national XL champion. Now, XLs is the closest, I actually think it's the best racing you get. No aero, long braking areas, so much overtaking. Ethan, before he stepped into his XL for the first time, and he's won 3 in a row, national champions, at 3 different tracks, Barbagallo, Morgan Park, and Phillip Island. And he'd never been to Barbagallo and Morgan Park before. The only thing he ever did was sim racing. He didn't do anything else whatsoever. No go-karting. And he's gone out and dominated the XLs against, every time I see it happen, it pains me to say that Ethan used to race against Brock Feeney and would do circles around Brock Feeney. And Ethan would build his own car to that point. I remember Enduro at Winton where Paul Morris came down and Brock was down there and a lot of other good guys were down there. And Ethan, it was so fucking funny. Ethan was with Benny Smith, and the car that we had was an ERT car. It was actually registered as the Evolution Racing Team. It was in exactly, it was in exactly the same livery as our sim cars.
Yeah.
And Ethan won the national championship, but Benny Smith and him won the at the time it was the biggest XL Enduro in Australia. It was held at Winton every year, David Lowe Memorial. And Paul Morris still says to this day it's the most fun weekend he's ever had. But Brock Feeney is there, and Brock has all the good gear. They don't give him crap. Ethan was driving circles around the bloke. And I'm not saying Brock's not a good driver, a good guy. I'd like to say, right, very good, well done, clap. But it just shows you of what sim racing can do and can offer. But they just don't have the financial backing, or they don't. It doesn't come with the reputation. Like you look at Jared Filsell. Is any Formula Ford team going to take on Jared Filsell to race their car for a year? Probably not. But he's the best sim racer in Australia by the length of the Flemington Straight. You know what I mean? So, it'd be great to see someone like Jared have a go in the real car. But the fact is, without too involved with it, he probably doesn't have the finances by him to do a test session. So, tests aren't free, and Jared's got enough contacts now with his supercar friends. But they're still not going to let him just jump in a car and drive one of the things. Same with Jake Burton and Madison. They did a test with, they drove a Brad Jones car at Winton a few years ago, but it was never going to eventuate into anything further than that. But that was solely based off that they drove for BJ in the sim racing series in the East. So, still working away, still pushing away. And, it'd be great to have those stories like Josh Rogers' stories to say this is where it's taken you, where Josh Rogers now earns more than 90% of the grid of supercar drivers, because he does sim racing, but people don't acknowledge that. And that's a crazy stat that, behind there's only probably 2 drivers on the grid in supercars that earn more than what Josh Rogers does. That's how crazy it is.
I didn't know it was that high. Just doing some research when we had Dane on last week. I seen they were doing a competition through Rensport in Saudi Arabia or something like that, and it was worth about $250,000 US. I think that was just
times that by 3 then.
Yeah, it's the set. Saudi money. Yeah, so that was just a
Yep.
Gamers 8 championship. Like I think they just had eight races on 8 different sim racing titles, and that was that. So it wasn't even like a half a year thing or a year thing. And
Don't forget they
yeah,
get
taking home some
a
serious money
salary
there.
from VRS, a good chunk of salary from VRS. Go through Coanda, and then with Porsche as well, like with what they do with Porsche, with the testing on the sim in Porsche. Like it's money that 90% of the supercar drivers won't see. It's just crazy to think that these guys have done it off the back of sim racing, and it doesn't get acknowledged. It actually, I'd say, not only does it not get acknowledged, it actually, I think, to a lot of the point, actually gets deliberately hidden by a lot of organisations, and I'll include Motorsport Australia in that. Like Motorsport Australia should be promoting the absolute shit out of these guys. Say, look, this is what you can do. You can earn up to $1 million a year while sitting in your pajamas. You know what I mean? That's it's not exactly the greatest work ethic in the world. Let's be honest, but doesn't mean it's not smart.
No. Yeah. Well, it's just, Dane was saying Josh Rogers was in terms of karting growing up, he was the pinnacle in karts and in the age group stuff. And, he obviously went pretty quickly out of that and right to the top echelon of sim racing. So
I remember
someone that could have, let's say, followed the natural motorsport pathway.
There's a lot of guys out there.
Went another way.
So I look at Ethan Griggold, who is a mechanic by trade and still works at Mark Hodgson Mechanical. I know what Ethan means as money and as his coin. He's happy with it, but it is what it is. But he taught Jordan Caruso how to do sim racing. You know what I mean? But Ethan hasn't followed up with the commitment and the endless amount of hours that these guys do to practice to get where they are now. But I remember Josh Rogers' very first race in a Scops race. It was the Euro at Spa. He was a co-driver with Richard Hampstead, I think it was. Or was it? Might not have been Hampstead. No, he wasn't with Hampstead. He went later on to it with Hampstead. And he qualified 8th on the grid. And we're like, who the hell's this guy to qualify 8th on the grid in the Scops race? No one knew him. Weeks later, he was signed up with a team back then, TTL, which was now no longer with us, which had Hampstead and Maloney with it. But yeah, so he signed up with TTL and done, and away he goes. So like guys like Richard Hampstead should get a lot of credit to where Josh Rogers is today.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting story. He's accomplished a lot, and all of them that have gone on over there. And hopefully we'll see it catch on at some stage over here. But just before we head out tonight, there's one more thing that I wanted to get you to tell us a bit about, and that is the Sim Racing Hall of Fame that's been launched this year through the Australian Sim Racing Group. So give us a little bit of an insight onto that.
Australian Sim again, it just adds to the reputation of sim racing and an acknowledgement to all those who don't just drive around in circles, but organise for others to drive around in circles. So that's going to be an annual thing where we're going to have 3 inductees a year. We had our first one during Bathurst last year, October, where we had Madison Down. So all of them are so very well deserved. So very, very well deserved. Madison Down record speaks for itself, and such a professional. Even today, like he just had his first pubs not so long ago, but even today, still does so much in the background of sim racing to help others. Not so much in an admin role, but to do driver coaching. Jay Kennedy. Jay and I used to have some words, and then we didn't even talk for each other for a long while. Didn't get along. But he understood where I was coming from, and I understood where he's coming from. And probably next Tuesday, we're going to do our once-a-year catch-up. Again, we're going to go to the cricket, the Big Bash, watch the Strikers play the Stars, and we'll talk shit. We talk shit all the time now. He's such a good guy. We get along really, really well. Both knew where we're coming from. So absolutely worthy inductee in the Hall of Fame, because without him, the pictures wouldn't be on the screen. And the job that he does is insane. And it makes it so, I don't want to use the word real, because we offer more than real. We can do anything. We're not restricted with real life stuff, and we can do anything. But he just makes the images and presents it all and produces it all unbelievably. And then our third Hall of Fame inductee, not in any order, Simon Black, who started off OSR and with Mike Koroleff and Dev Series, and even to this day, he's a race director for the Pro Series and does so much work in the background. And people don't even know how good a rally driver he is on the sim. Like, he's literally world champion, like the best for a while there. He was the best driver in the world on rallying sim. Like, he is insanely good. So those are the first three inductees. Next year we'll have three. Well, sorry, yeah. This year we'll have three more, and then three more, and then three more. And we're not in any way going to be focusing just on Pro Series because, yes, whilst it's an ASRG led Hall of Fame, we want it to be the Australian Sim Racing Hall of Fame. We'll take the Australian Sim Racing group out and just make the Australian Sim Racing Hall of Fame. So the people that get nominated and inducted are, we think, all absolutely deserving of it. And we're not just going to do people that people know now. There's people that started sim racing way back when, you know what I mean, that people these days wouldn't even know. And then eventually there's going to be your Assetto Corsa people and R Factor people and all that. And, you know, Ren Sport, if that ever really does take off. You know, there's going to be all of those type of things. So we're not going to be just sticking with supercar pro drivers by any means. We're not. But at the moment, it's probably the most obvious place to go. But all of those three developed their stories well before Pro Series. They're in Pro Series because their stories were already developed.
Yeah.
So that we're trying to
Yep.
individualize each the Hall of Fame away from the sim racing group, even though it's sim racing group that's actually leading it.
Yeah, that's it's such a great initiative. It's some of the guys that have been around, like Madison and that, and yeah, we certainly started out through the Dev series with OSR and Simon. He's probably the first admin that I can recall ever coming across. So that was such a well supported and loved series, the Dev series. So it's glad to hear it's coming back in another form, but also
and further, it's actually Simon
he's got
leading it, and obviously Reeksy, John Van Ree, who does the most amazing job with him and his fellow admin at the Vet series. Like, the Vet series is incredible, you know. Those involved with the Vet series, you know, one day their names probably, I would imagine, come up as a Hall of Fame nominee, because the Vet series is amazing. I race in Vet series. Actually, I'm a steward this year in Vet series. But Vet series is fantastic. I actually think it's a lot of drivers have already asked me about Pro Series, and Vet Series certainly has its own entity, but a lot of the drivers are using it to see if they can get into Pro Series. I genuinely hope, like, I know Gambo can't do Pro Series qualifying camping, and Scotty Mackay's away camping as well, but, you know, there's some good guys in the Vet Series. Wayne Walker, for starters, is going to be, I think he'll make it. So looking forward to seeing that. But so Reeksy and Simon Black are pushing and leading the Dev series, which is going to be really good. But like I said, it's low key. It's no broadcast. It's just keep it on the low, but keep it raw, but get guys involved with drive around in circles in supercar.
Yeah, no, that's a great initiative. Packets, mate, have you got anything that you might want to fire Brenton's way before we wrap this one up? There's been a lot of ground covered tonight.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, to be honest, like, based off everything that he's already said, like, I don't really know what else to throw at you. It's funny. Like, I personally myself, like, I know of you and heard a lot of you. Well, mainly, to be honest, I've known a lot of you through the Porsche series commentating. But yeah, I didn't really realize how involved you actually were. Like, it's actually really good.
Yeah, been doing it a while. And I just enjoy doing it. You know what I mean? Like, for a while there, I stepped away from it all because I was doing a lot of work at Winton, doing 10, 12-hour days. And I'll be honest with you, the last thing I want to do is come home and do more with motorsport. It's just like, find me any way out of here. But, since I've moved back down to Phillip Island, January and February is going to be a complete wipeout for me with World Superbikes, but after that, I can absolutely hook back into it. But we'll get some more work done this week, hopefully, and help get the series up and running. But we've got such really good help in ASRG now. Like since we've got Sean McNamara together on the team, like that guy is ridiculous with Excel sheets. Seriously, I don't know how he does it. I'm still trying to work out how to use AI, and he can do stuff with Excel sheets, which I think should be illegal in about 52 countries. And Reeksy does amazing things, organising things well, and then Hobbo with the artwork and the promotion. To be honest with you, Jordan and I are the ones we just sit in the background, talk shit, and all of a sudden things have happened. You know what I mean? So, and we've got Brady Baldwin on board as well, leading the Speedway charge, and the job he does is he seems to do it so easy, and that he gets unbelievable numbers. And then like I said, we've got our broadcast partners with Speed Cafe and sponsors with Logitech and soon to be Moser. And we've had other really good sponsors like Playseat and the Gamesman and MSI. MPI. We've had some really good sponsors, and we're going to continue to get good sponsors. And also, like I said, with Motorsport Australia, they're big supporters of us, and they know where we're at reputation-wise, and they come to us regularly asking for sim racing advice. And Charlie Barlow, she's in charge at MA in regards to that, and Ben Christie underneath her, they do a pretty good job. There's still a bit to go. I'm catching up with Charlie at the Formula One shortly, and then more at SRO. So we'll butt heads and talk about sim racing and go from there.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you pretty much just sort of did a bit of a general one, but just then. But is there anyone individually that you want to give a bit of a shout out here before we wrap this one up, or anywhere you want to point any listeners to go to, certainly for the Facebook pages or whatever?
Yeah. So first of all,
before we go,
number one, thanks to Jordan Ross, because it was Jordan and I started talking about this and got it going, and then Hobbo Reeksy came on board pretty quickly afterwards. But outside of that, so outside of what we already know with ASRG, we've had the good broadcasters, great commentators, stewards, safety car drivers, all those who actually want to be involved, who actually come to us and say, can I be involved? How can I be involved? And a lot of people will actually offer their own time to get this done. It's been a good journey for the 5 years, the 5th year that we're about to start now, but also outside of that with ERT, like with 40 and Jacko. Geez, there's some bogan names just there. Sounds like I'm in Bali right now, but 40 and Jacko. But there's a lot of Ethan, probably Jake Blackwell. There's a lot of guys that I haven't thanked, but it's been Simon Feigl, Bo Albert. Can't forget those guys. But we've had some good guys that have got us to where we are now, and we want to push even harder. Until our races are broadcast live on some TV channel, or supercars, God forbid, actually go, you know what, this is actually worthwhile, we should be picking this up. And that's through no lack of trying. There's a reluctance on their behalf. They did push us for a little while last year. Then they said they're doing their own thing, and that didn't happen. So that's, like I said, I'll give them a call this week. There's a lot of people thank, but the main, Logitech have been amazing to us. They've been amazing to us, and I can't thank them enough, because we wouldn't have started without them. And then, in the future, we've got others, like Moser, the sim gear there. They'll be supporting us as well with the Porsches. So, we started off pretty big, but we're getting bigger. You know what I mean? And we see ourselves as the top of the tree, and that's how we want others to see us, and we want others to develop, whether it's through the Dev Series or wherever, to start working their way up, where their 2026 plan is to try and make the grid on the 2027 grid for Pro Series, and that can start now.
Yep, certainly can. Pre-quali is pretty much full or at capacity, or is there still more spots available?
So pre-qual is endless.
It's endless.
We have 2,000 guys show up. Still only going to be 40 get through. And then from that 40, those 40 will do a 4-round series, no drop rounds, qualifying series. And then from there, I think we're taking the top 20 drivers. And then we're going to have some wild cards as well. Like Andre is a wild card. Emily Jones is a wild card because he can't make these races. Tom McMillan won the co-driver clash last year. That's an automatic gold ticket to get through. And that co-driver clash has been amazing on a Wednesday night. That whole Bathurst week is incredible. I'm not sure. Did you guys race on that Saturday night Porsche race? It just.
I wasn't. I was at cricket.
I did race for a lap.
No good. But
yeah, I did a lap.
The whole thing, I don't know if you look back and watch the whole presentation of the night. It absolutely worked. So.
Yeah, I kept chiming in for little bits before and after the race.
Because we're running our own Porsche series this year, we won't be doing Porsche on a Saturday night this year. But we already have an idea of what we're going to do as support races. Ultimately, what we would like to do is, on these enduro days in the middle of winter on a Sunday, is have support categories all morning and then the supercars in the afternoon. That'd be fantastic. But it's something we can work on. It's something we are working on, actually. So see how we go.
Yeah. Nice one. It's exciting times. It's good to hear that we're all moving in that direction. But look, I think we're gonna check out here at this point in time. Listeners, if you stuck around this long, obviously give us a like and subscribe over on YouTube, Facebook. We're on TikTok now as well. You can see some shorts from this episode and others. You can also find us on Instagram. It's all through Sim Racing in Focus. So, if you feel so inclined, give us a like. And Brenton, thanks again, mate, for jumping in tonight. You've been awesome. You've got so many stories to tell and so much history. So it's been great to delve into what I'm sure is only just a part of it. So big thanks from us for coming.
Absolute pleasure. Tonight, great mate. To be here. And press the like and subscribe button. And for anyone who wants to get involved with sim racing, absolutely have a listen to these podcasts and get involved with vets or whatever championship you can get in and just cut laps and have fun to start with, and then as time goes on, take it more serious if you want to.
Excellent stuff. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Other than that, it's going to be bye for now.